Today I'd like to talk about the NSA reforms that President Obama proposed in his speech this past Friday. For once, I actually agree with him. He announced that he would ban the metadata collection or phase it out by the government, and indicated that if it were to happen, it would have to happen by a separate agency, probably a private sector phone company, and that to get those records you would have to subpoena them through the FISA court one at a time. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think that's important. It's worth noting that the panel that Obama set up to study the NSA found that there was no discernible impact of the metadata collection on national security. And Clapper and Alexander, the head of the NSA and the director of national intelligence, after initially claiming that the metadata was vital to dealing with terrorism, when pressed on exactly how many terror plots were foiled by the collection of this data, said only a handful were, one or two, I think was what they said. And they said its main purpose was peace of mind, to know that there was nothing in the works. Well, peace of mind for the intelligence community is not worth invading the privacy of every single American by collecting every single conversation and storing them in a bank within the government's control. The point is not merely the metadata, which is who called who, for how long, and from where, but also that the conversations themselves are there and can be accessed by the government, usually pursuant to a FISA court ruling, but sometimes without, and sometimes with only retroactive approval, and sometimes with no supervision at all. These are very dangerous policies that really undermine the very concept of privacy and the concept, really, of the Fourth Amendment, and can lead to tremendous abuses. So I think that on balance, this decision, that aspect of this decision, was very good. One of the flaws in his decision was that he rejected the recommendation of his own panel that a public advocate be added to the FISA court process. Until you make the FISA court an adversarial court, in which there's someone speaking against the information demands of the government, someone with staff, with resources, and with standing to address the issue, you'll never be able to make those FISA court decisions fair or real. The court has only rejected about 19 applications over the course of its many-year history, out of tens and tens of thousands filed. Now, they say in some cases they forced a modification or a restriction in the data that the FISA court let them get. But still, unless you have someone standing there whose job it is to minimize that stuff, it's always going to be maximized. The other disappointing part of the Obama ruling is that he let the national security letters stand, where the federal agency does not have to get a court subpoena to get documents or information, but can issue a national security letter. The theory there is that you need to keep that process confidential. But these are kind of like the lettres de cachet during the French Revolution, where you just write a letter and someone gets locked up. And it's contrary, really, to our whole system of government. So I think on balance it was a good decision, but I think it has some serious flaws. The political motivation of the decision is to appeal to young voters. Obama's been bleeding support among young people, particularly as they get to know Obamacare. And the NSA scandal was an important part of that. And had he ruled otherwise, had he continued the metadata program, it would have continued his loss of young voters with tremendous consequences, not just for the Democratic Party in the next election or two, but for the next decade or two as well. Thanks for watching.